Okay, so Dawn, I just got your Voxer telling me that the sound changed and it got weird. So I'm waiting for you to come on here now and tell me whether or not the sound is weird. Because if it is, I'll stop and we'll try to figure something else out. But I had no idea why the sound went weird. So I was just on Instagram and Dawn was watching over there and dropping some links for me. And she sent me a Voxer and said the sound got weird, so I'm not sure why. And just to let you know, I have the camera at the wrong end today. And so, oh, Amy's here, Amy Sloan. Okay, there's Dawn. Somebody tell me if I sound weird, because Dawn was telling me that my Instagram sounded weird, so I'm hoping it was Instagram and not my phone. And I put the camera in the wrong spot, so I probably won't look at you at all today because it's on the wrong end. And that's just the way it works. So I'm seeing lots of hellos, but sounds fine to me. Good. We have a confirmation that we sound okay today. Yay! I don't know if it was your phone. Interesting. We'll have to watch the replay on Instagram when we get a second and see what's going on over there. Okay, guys, so much stuff today for you guys on Facebook Live. Just so much stuff. So let me start by saying hello and welcoming you and telling you who I am. I am Pam Barnhill. I have 3 homeschooling podcasts. I have the Homeschool Snapshots podcast, which is interviews with homeschool moms and dads about their homeschools and how we all do it differently, and that's okay. Lots of inspiration there. We have the Your Morning Basket podcast, which is all about morning time in your homeschool. And then we also have the Homeschool Solution Show, which is like the little podcast that could. We have, we're coming up on 2 years now on that podcast. We haven't missed a Friday. And we call it an audio blog of the best homeschool content on the web, streaming straight to your earbuds every Friday. And you know what? We are always taking nominations for that podcast. If you come across a blog post that you love and we don't have it in audio, we would love for you to send us a link to it at info@pambarnhill.com. Or if you're a blogger and you have a podcast, a blog post that you would like to record, we're always taking either nominations or audio for those podcasts. So just reach out to us at info@pambarnhill.com and we would love to get the blog post that you want to hear in audio for that one. So today we're going to be talking about so many things. We're going to start with a shameless plug. This is what I was talking about on Instagram earlier for our summer reading program. So this just came out this week. This is the 5th year we've done a summer reading program. And basically we have, we really didn't even revamp it a lot. We're just kind of re-releasing one of our oldies but goodies. This is our Enchanted Journey summer reading program. Now, if your kids did this back in 2015, it's 2018. They probably don't remember. So they could do it again. It would be a fun one to revisit. So we have, this is one of my favorites. We have this lovely map, and I know it's backwards and I apologize. We have this lovely map and they can color. Is it upside down too? Oh yeah, here. That is my fault. They could color with their colored pencils and they read the books and go around the map. And it gets them to read outside of their usual genres because it encourages them to read different kinds of books, like an award-winning book, a biography, a myth or a tall tale, a book about a boy your age, read a cookbook and make a recipe, those kinds of things. And then in the kit, we have the reading bucket list, which is about where you read. We have the celebrate reading and prize cards, so you can like put prizes on there and let them choose prizes. We have 2 variations of a reading log, we have a certificate, and we have bookmarks. So go get your copy of the reading program, and we have a special 3-week set of summer morning time plans that go along with the Enchanted Journey reading program as well. So reading the books in the morning time plans to your family will help your kids mark off the squares in the reading program, and it's a wonderful little morning time that you have going on. And if you get the morning time plans before Saturday, they're $3.99. And I don't know about you, but 3 weeks of morning time plans at my house, I could easily stretch that to 5 or 6 weeks, and there's morning time for the whole summer for less than $4. So, yeah, a lot of fun. Okay, so let's talk about lists. Another thing, had a blog post go up today for all of you checklist moms out there. Sisters, we are like getting together with solidarity right now, and we're just going to be loud and proud to be checklist homeschool moms, because for some people, a checklist, it really is a tool and not a master. It really is a way that we can create more peace for ourselves and just feel more comfortable in our skin and more comfortable as a homeschool mom. And by creating this checklist and putting these systems in place and having these plans that we follow, it allows us then the freedom to focus on our kids and relationships and things like that, because we feel like the rest of this stuff is taken care of. The rest of this stuff is taken care of. We have a plan. Everything is in place. We know we need to be flexible with that plan, but it's taken care of. And so we don't have to worry about those kinds of things. It makes us comfortable. It makes us comfortable and then better able to serve the needs of everyone around us. And, you know, having checklists and being a checklist mom has kind of gotten a bad reputation over the past few years. Everybody's like, oh, don't focus on the list. Well, some of us, we need our list. Yes, Krista, that is exactly right. It frees up the mental space for us to focus on the kids. And Mally's saying she's not a checklist mom, but she loves hearing how other people's brains work. And, you know, and that's fine. That's great. I think you're perfectly right, because we can be different and still get along. And that's really what's important, is we're different from each other. We work in different ways, but we can get along. But I have felt like there just hasn't been that much good support out there for the checklist mom, and acknowledges the fact that checklist moms have feelings too. And so that's what we're doing, is we're acknowledging the fact that checklist moms have feelings too. And we're here for you. That's what we're doing. Okay, so we're going to talk today, getting into the meat of what we're talking about in our summer homeschool planning series. So we've been doing this over the past few weeks. We've done vision and how a homeschool vision is probably not what you thought it was. We've talked about goals. Dawn, help me out. We've talked about choosing resources. Oh, that was a fabulous week. We talked about the difference between skill subjects and content area subjects. So that was a wonderful week. And we talked about, I'm trying to think of the other things we've talked about. But this week we are talking about 2 different kinds of lists that you could use in your homeschool to help you with your homeschool planning. And this is fun because each of the different kinds of lists are 2 different modules in the Put Your Homeschool Year on Autopilot course that's going to be coming out in the next few weeks. And so we're putting the finishing touches on it. My husband's probably really tired of me yelling down the stairs, I'm recording, keep the dogs quiet. But yes, we have 2 different kinds of lists in the course, and these are 2 great lists to use in your homeschool. One of them is my absolute favorite kind of list, and it is the procedure list. And Dawn is going to drop a link for you for the blog post I wrote about this a couple of years ago. The procedure list is absolutely fabulous, and I think it's the best kind of list for putting your homeschool year on autopilot. So basically the idea is you think about how you want to study a subject, whether that be, or use a resource. So whether that be something like your Latin program or your grammar program, or maybe you want to do a geography study with your kids. and you're like, well, I have this great book over here about the 50 states, but how do I use it to study geography? And I have this, map drawing book to go with it. So, how do I use all of this stuff together? And this is where the procedure list comes in. So basically what you do is you sit down and you make a step-by-step list of what you want to do every time you study that particular subject. So let's say an example I always use is Story of the World. You get Story of the World and you get the Story of the World activity guide. And has anybody ever seen that Story of the World activity guide? It can be just a little bit anxiety inducing, and they didn't mean for it to be that way, because when they created the activity guide, never in the world did they mean for somebody to go through and do every single thing in the book. That was not their intention, but they wanted to give lots of different things and lots of different ideas for different kinds of moms. But what you end up with is this massive resource. And you know how we can be as homeschool moms. We see this and we're like, well, I spent money on it, so I got to do all of it. And, it never worked. We kind of like create all of this stress for ourselves. So instead, what you do is you sit down and you say, whenever we study Story of the World, we're going to do this, 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 and this. So for us, studying Story of the World and using the Story of the World activity guide looked like this. We would write down the names and the names of the people in the chapter and the place locations on the whiteboard. We would listen to Jim Weiss read the chapter as my kids colored the coloring pages from the book, from the activity guide. We would narrate a portion of the chapter, and we would use the questions that were in the activity guide. It did come with like wonderful kind of prompting questions for narrations, and so we would use those. And then we would complete the map work and then look up anything in the Usborne Encyclopedia of World History that we were interested in and follow some of the internet links. And so we used things from the activity guide, but we didn't do everything in the activity guide. And so by making myself this list, this is what we're going to do when we study every single chapter, then we got into this rhythm. And we knew when it came time to do Story of the World, I knew exactly what I was supposed to do. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to question it. I didn't have to reinvent the wheel from scratch each time. I knew what it looked like. And I went in and printed out all of those coloring pages. I had the PDF version. All of the coloring pages and all of the map pages, 3 copies of each at the beginning of the year, and I stuck them in a folder, and when it was time to do this each week, I just reached over there and grabbed it and plopped it down. So procedure list, you can make them for anything in the world. I know a few years ago, like map blobbing, and if you're in CC, this is still the rage for you. So map blobbing was all the rage. Oh, we're gonna teach our kids how to draw the continents by creating these map blobs. And it was one of those things that I would sit down and I would be like, oh my gosh, it's like, what do I do? How does one map blob? How do I start this? And so I came up with a little procedure that we followed each and every time we sat down to do this. I had one for geography. I have one for, we did the Thornton Burgess Bird Book for a while. I have one for it, all kinds of things. So anyway, first kind of list that you can use is the procedure list. I highly recommend it. It just makes your homeschool year easy. We talk way more about it and give a lot of examples in the course. Second kind of list that you might need for your homeschool is something that I'm calling the lesson plan list. And you need this kind of list because laying out all of your lessons at the beginning of the year in one of those dated grids is only going to cause you stress in the long run, because what's going to happen is at some point during the year, you're going to get off of that, grid, Either you're going to miss a whole day, and so then you're going to be changing the dates at the top, or even worse, perhaps, you're going to get part of the school day done and you're not going to get the other part of the school day done. And so you're going to be like in this grid for math and in this grid for science and in this grid for reading, and oh my gosh. So instead of creating lesson plans on a grid, what I encourage you to do is create what I call the lesson plan list, and you do it by subject. Now, if you're doing procedure lists for, let's say, Story of the World, or maybe Song School Latin, or something like that, you can make what I call the simple or the easy lesson plan list. And that is, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? Is why I make the big bucks. It is a copy of the table of contents of your curriculum. Yep. So you have your procedure list and you have a copy of the table of contents of your curriculum. And as you go down and finish each module or chapter or lesson or whatever it is, you can mark it off. You can write the date that you completed it over here beside it if you want to. Or if you live in one of those states where you do have to turn things in, you can take the information after the fact and pop it into a grid. This is the day we finished it. Now, let's say you want to do a subject and you want a little more detail. The procedure list isn't going to work. You need to do different things for each lesson. So you can't really make a procedure list for this. Then we go to what I call the detailed lesson plan list, and you still do it by subject. You take your subject that you're going to do, and I like to do it in a spreadsheet program, and I just create a little more detailed lesson plan list. Like, we're going to do chapter 1 of flying creatures. Okay, and of course I just pulled something out of the air I've never used. I've used one of the apologies, but it wasn't that one. So we're going to do chapter 1 of flying creatures, or we're going to do lesson 1 or chapter 1, lesson 1. And when we do that, we're going to do these 3 things. We're going to read this, we're going to do this experiment, and we're going to do this notebooking page. And then we're going to move on to lesson 2. And we're going to do this, this, and this. And lesson 3, we're going to do this, this, and this. Yes, it does take a little bit of time to do this up front, but this is about putting your homeschool year on autopilot. So when it comes time to work on that science lesson, you know exactly what you're going to do. You just go down your list and you check it off. And when you finish, you move to the next thing on the list. Now, what happens if you skip a day? What happens if you miss a day of school? What happens if you miss a day of science, but you don't miss a day of math? It doesn't matter. That list is still going to be sitting there waiting on you, very non-judgmental in its little list form. Okay, when you get back to it and you just pick up where you left off. It's wonderful. And it's a wonderful way to plan your homeschool year. So you end up with a list for science and a list for history and a list for whatever else it is you might have. So to recap, go with the procedure list when you can. That is really good and really simple. But if you need more details, then go with the lesson plan list. But keep it in list form by subject, and that's what keeps it flexible and able to use. So we have a module in the new course coming out on procedure lists, and then we have a module in the new course coming out on the different kinds of lesson plan lists. And we give you lots of examples and we show you step by step exactly how to do it. If you would like to be kept in the loop with information on when the course is coming out, you can go to freehomeschoolplanner.com and sign up for the little set of free planning pages that are there, and you'll get notifications of when all of that is coming out. So all right, guys. Well, that was quite the lengthy Facebook Live. But we have a lot of good stuff. So be sure, if you are a planner and you like planning pages, to check on the blog tomorrow. Our summer planning pages will be for 2019 18 will be released tomorrow, so come over and get those as well. All right, you guys have an awesome week. I will not be here next week. We're going to FPEA, the Florida Parent Educators Association, their annual conference in Orlando next week. We're taking the family. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have a good time. We're hoping. This is the first time I've ever taken the entire family on a speaking gig. So fingers crossed. Pray for me, guys, that it goes well. But I'll be down there, but we'll be back the week after. So you guys have an awesome... No, we're not going to Disney. No, we've done that a few times. So there's so much other great stuff in Orlando to do. So I'm supposed to get on the phone with Legoland after I finish this to see if I can get us the homeschool pricing for Legoland for next week. That's what we're going to try to do. We've never been there. So, but yeah, it's, we're staying at the Gaylord Palms, which is where the convention is. And so we figure that place has got like 3 swimming pools. That's more than enough for everybody. So yeah, there you go. All right. I'll be back. You guys have a great Memorial Day. Have a great end of your school year if you're finishing up. Have a great weekend this weekend. And we'll see you in a couple weeks. So have a good one.